Poor twins walk into a bakery with a box of dolls and say, "Can we trade these for bread and milk? We're very hungry." The young billionaire overhears and does the unthinkable. Clara opened her eyes and felt her stomach rumble. The apartment was silent, except for the sound of drips falling into the can their mother left in the corner of the living room. She looked to her side and saw Daisy still asleep, curled up under the thin blanket. "Daisy," she whispered, nudging her sister. "Daisy, wake up." The little girl slowly opened her eyes. "What is it, Clara?" "I'm hungry. Are you?" Daisy nodded. The two of them got up and walked barefoot to the kitchen. Clara opened the refrigerator. Empty. Just a half-full bottle of water. "Where's Mommy?" asked Daisy. "She left early to look for work again," Clara replied, remembering what their mother had said the night before. Daisy opened the kitchen cabinet. An empty can of sauce, a package of pasta with only a few loose strands at the bottom, nothing else. "Clara, I'm really hungry," she said, pouting. "Me too. But Mummy said she'll bring something back when she returns. But she takes a long time to come back." The two of them stood there, staring at the empty kitchen. Clara's stomach rumbled again, louder this time. "Daisy, remember that time Mummy sold Grandma's ring?" "I remember. She was sad, but she bought food for us." Clara thought for a moment. "And what if we tried to trade something of ours for food? But we don't have anything valuable." "Yes, we do." Clara took her sister's hand. "Come with me." They went to their room, and Clara pulled an old shoebox from under the bed. Inside were their 3 dolls. They weren't new or expensive dolls, but they were their favorite toys. Clara's doll was named Princess. She had blonde hair and a slightly faded blue dress. Daisy's was Flower, with brown hair and a red dress, and there was Friend, whom they both shared. "Our dolls." Daisy's eyes widened. "They're the only things we have that might be worth something," Clara said, even as she felt her chest tighten. "But Clara, they're our friends." "I know, but we can trade them. And then when Mommy gets a job, we can ask her to buy us new ones." Daisy picked up the Flower doll and hugged her. "Do you think anyone will want them?" "I think so. They're very good dolls." The two stood there holding their dolls. Clara knew Daisy was thinking the same thing she was. They didn't want to part with them. But their hunger was stronger. "Okay," Daisy said finally, "but only until Mommy gets a job." "Only until Mommy gets a job," Clara repeated. They placed the dolls in the box, got dressed, and left the apartment. The sun was bright outside, and people were walking along the streets. Clara held her sister's hand, and the two walked slowly, looking for a place where they could try to make a trade. "Look there," Daisy pointed to a small bakery. "There are a lot of people. It must be a good place." Clara looked at the sign. Miller's Bakery. Fresh bread, homemade cakes. Her stomach rumbled just thinking about it. "Let's try," she said. Miles Harrison woke up at the same time as always, 6 in the morning, on the dot. The alarm clock didn't even need to ring anymore. His body already knew it was time to start another day, just like the others. He got out of his king-size bed and walked to the 32nd floor window. The city stretched out below like a chessboard, with tiny cars racing through the streets. Everything was so small. Everything was so distant. At 29, Miles possessed a fortune most people couldn't even imagine. Heir to Harrison Hotels, a chain that had dominated the market for 3 generations, he had everything money could buy. Imported cars, watches that cost more than a house, custom-made clothes by famous designers. But that morning, like every other, he felt empty. The phone rang. It was Janet, his assistant. "Good morning, Mr. Harrison. Your meeting with the Japanese investors has been rescheduled for 10. Lunch with the mayor is still at 2. And your mother called to ask if you'll be attending her charity dinner tonight." Miles sighed. Another day full of obligations that meant nothing to him. "You can cancel the dinner. Tell her I have other commitments." "But sir..." "Janet, just do as I asked." He hung up and tossed the phone on the bed. His mother would be annoyed, but he couldn't stand pretending to care about those social events anymore. Smiling at people who only wanted something from him. Making empty small talk about business and politics. Miles showered, put on a suit that cost more than many people's annual salary, and went down for breakfast. The table was set with the finest china, but he was alone. as always. He ate in silence, looking at the news on his tablet. More numbers, more reports, more money flowing into the company's accounts. It was all automatic now. The family empire ran itself, and he was just a decorative piece at the top. At 9 o'clock, the driver was waiting for him at the entrance of the building, a black Mercedes with tinted windows. Miles got in and sank into the leather seat. "To the office, would Mr. Harrison?" asked Robert, the driver. Miles was about to say yes when something caught his eye. Across the street, there was a small bakery. Nothing special, just a simple sign, Miller's Bakery. The windows were fogged up from the warm steam coming from inside. Why not? It was better than going straight to another pointless meeting. "No, Robert. Drop me off at the bakery over there." The driver frowned. "Sir?" "The bakery across the street. Just for a few minutes." Robert went around the block and stopped in front of the establishment. Miles got out of the car and stood on the sidewalk for a moment. Why had he asked to stop here? He didn't even know. The bakery door made a little bell sound when he entered. The smell of fresh bread filled his nostrils. It was an aroma he hadn't smelled in years, simple but comforting. The place was small and cramped. The shelves were filled with bread, homemade cakes and cookies. Behind the counter, a man in his 60s, wearing a white apron covered in flour, smiled at him. "Good morning, how can I help you?" Miles looked around, not quite sure what he was doing there. I just came to have a look." "Of course, feel free. We have fresh bread just out of the oven a little while ago." It was then that Miles heard the voices, two childish voices, whispering near the door. "Go on, Clara, ask him." "No, you ask Daisy. You're braver." Miles turned and saw two little girls, twins, apparently. They must have been about 5 years old. They were dressed in clean but clearly patched clothes. Their blonde hair was tied in simple ponytails. The braver of the two, probably Daisy, was holding an old shoebox. She took a deep breath and approached the counter. "Sir," she said in a small but determined voice, holding up the box, "can we trade these dolls for bread and milk? We're very hungry." Miles felt something tighten in his chest. He discreetly moved closer, pretending to look at the bread on the shelf. The bakery owner opened the box, and Miles could see the contents over the girls' shoulders. There were 3 old dolls inside. They were well cared for, but it was obvious they had been much loved. One of them had a loose arm, attached only by a few threads. "Girls," the baker said kindly, "are you sure? These dolls seem very special to you." Clara, the shyer one, spoke for the first time. "It's just that Mommy went out to look for work, and there's no food at home. We're very hungry. But we take good care of them," Daisy added quickly. "They're very good dolls. They'll keep someone company." Miles felt his heart race. Without thinking, he approached the counter. "Excuse me," he said, taking his wallet out of his pocket. "I'll pay for the girls, bread and milk." The two of them looked at him with wide eyes. The baker seemed surprised too. "Sir, you don't have to," the man began. "Do I insist?" Miles placed a $50 bill in his hand. "And you can give them something extra, some cookies, maybe, and let them keep the dolls." The baker prepared a bag with bread, cookies, and filled 2 cups with milk. The girls kept looking at Miles as if he were a magician. "Thank you, sir," said Clara, holding the cup of milk with her 2 small hands. "Thank you so much," Daisy added. "You're very kind." They smiled at him, a genuine smile, full of gratitude. Miles felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, a strange sensation, as if his chest were both lighter and heavier at the same time. "You're welcome," he managed to say. The girls took their dolls, the food, and left the bakery hand in hand. Through the steamy window, Miles watched them walk away down the street, walking slowly and talking quietly. "Very special girls," the baker commented, putting the money away. "They always offer something in return when they need food. They never beg." Miles just nodded. He bought a loaf of bread he didn't even want and left the bakery. Robert was waiting for him in the car. "Is everything all right, Mr. Harrison?" "Everything's fine," Miles murmured, still looking in the direction where the girls had disappeared. On the way to the office, he couldn't stop thinking about those 2 smiles. When was the last time someone had smiled at him like that? When was the last time he had done something that truly mattered? At the office, the meetings passed in a blur. Miles was physically present, but his mind was still in that small bakery, with two little girls offering their most precious toys for a piece of bread. That night, alone in his silent apartment, Miles found himself looking out the window in the direction of the neighborhood where the bakery was. For the first time in a long time, he felt that something had changed. He couldn't explain what, but something was different. He fell asleep thinking of two brave little girls and their sincere smiles. And for the first time in years, he didn't feel completely alone. Miles woke up the next day with the same strange feeling in his chest. During breakfast, as he browsed through financial reports, his mind kept returning to those two genuine smiles in the bakery. He couldn't understand why that scene bothered him so much. It wasn't longing. He barely knew the girls. It was something different, a restlessness that stirred him in a way he couldn't explain. "Mr. Harrison," Janet appeared at the office door. "The contracts for the Miami acquisition are ready for your signature." Miles nodded distractedly, signing the papers without even reading them properly. His mind was elsewhere. Why were two unknown children taking up so much space in his thoughts? During the board meeting, while they discussed expansion to the West Coast, Miles found himself staring out the window. Down below, people walked the streets, living their normal lives. Were there other children like Clara and Daisy out there? Were there other mothers struggling alone to put food on the table? "Miles, what do you think of the proposal?" The vice president's voice brought him back to reality. "Sorry, could you repeat that?" The other executives exchanged glances. Miles Harrison never lost focus in a meeting. He was known for his attention to detail, for always being one step ahead. "The San Diego proposal? Do you think we should invest?" "Ah, yes, of course. Let's move forward." But his mind had already returned to that small bakery, to two little girls offering their most precious toys for a piece of bread. At the end of the day, Miles was in his apartment, looking at the city from his terrace window. He had everything anyone could want, but he felt empty. He had always felt empty. The difference was that now this feeling seemed heavier. He tried to distract himself by watching the news, but he couldn't concentrate. He tried to read some reports, but the words seemed jumbled on the page. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw those determined little faces offering their dolls in exchange for food. "This is ridiculous," he muttered to himself. "They're just two kids I don't even know." But it was no use. The restlessness remained, growing with each passing hour. On the second day, Miles tried to keep busy with more meetings and appointments. He visited two properties the company was considering buying. He had lunch with foreign investors. He attended a conference on the future of luxury tourism. Nothing worked. His mind kept going back to Miller's bakery. "Mr. Harrison, are you all right?" Robert asked as they were returning from the last appointment of the day. "You seem distant." Miles looked at the driver in the rearview mirror. Robert had been working for the family for 15 years. He was one of the few employees who allowed himself to make personal comments. "I'm fine, Robert, just thinking about some things." "If I may say so, sir, for the past 2 days you've seemed different, more thoughtful, different." Miles chuckled softly. If only Robert knew how true that was. On the third day, Miles made a decision. After breakfast, instead of going straight to the office, he asked Robert to take the route that passed by Miller's bakery. "Let's drive through that neighborhood again, Robert." "Which neighborhood, sir?" "The one where the bakery is." "Miller's bakery?" Robert seemed surprised but didn't comment. As they passed in front of the bakery, Miles looked closely. But he didn't see any sign of the girls. He felt a pang of disappointment that surprised him. "Can you drive around the block?" "Of course, sir." They drove past the street 3 times, but Clara and Daisy weren't there. Miles felt foolish. What exactly did he expect to find? And why did it matter so much to him? On the 4th day, he repeated the same ritual. And on the 5th, too. Robert started automatically including that route on the way to the office without even asking. Miles knew he was being irrational, but he couldn't stop. There was something about those 2 girls that moved him in a way he didn't understand. Maybe it was their courage, or their dignity, or simply the sincerity of their smiles. He had met many people throughout his life, businessmen, politicians, celebrities, People who wanted to impress him, who had ulterior motives, who saw him only as a business opportunity or a ladder to climb in life. But Clara and Daisy had been different. They didn't know who he was. They didn't know how much money he had. They had just thanked him sincerely and gone on with their lives. On Friday, Miles was particularly restless. He had woken up before 5 in the morning and couldn't get back to sleep. During breakfast, he picked at his food, eating almost nothing. "Mr. Harrison," Janet appeared with a stack of documents. "Your schedule is quite full today. The meeting with the London partners is at 9. Then you have—" "Janet, cancel everything." She blinked, confused. Sir, cancel all of today's appointments. Say I have a family emergency. But sir, the meeting with London, reschedule it for next week, and I don't want to be disturbed today." Janet left, shaking her head. In 15 years of working for him, she had never seen Miles cancel an important meeting on impulse. Miles went down to the garage and, for the first time in years, took one of his personal cars instead of calling Robert. He needed to drive. He needed to think. He needed to understand what was happening to him. He drove aimlessly through the city for nearly 2 hours. He passed through neighborhoods he had never visited, saw people living lives he had never imagined. Families in parks, children playing in the street, couples walking hand in hand. When he realized it, he was driving in the direction of Miller's bakery. This time, instead of just driving by, he parked across the street and watched. The bakery was busy, people coming and going, buying bread for lunch. Miles stood there for almost an hour, feeling completely foolish. What exactly was he doing? Stalking 2 5-year-old children? This was ridiculous. He was about to leave when he saw something that made his heart race. 2 small figures walking down the sidewalk, hand in hand. Clara and Daisy. They were a few blocks from the bakery, heading towards what looked like a small market. Miles got out of the car and followed them at a safe distance, not knowing exactly why. The girls stopped in front of the market and started talking quietly to each other. Clara was holding something in her hand. It looked like a few coins. Daisy pointed inside the store and nodded. Miles approached slowly, pretending to look at a nearby shop window. "Do you think we can buy a banana?" he heard Clara ask. "I don't know. Let's see how much it costs." The 2 of them entered the market. Miles waited a few seconds and followed them. Inside the store, the girls were standing in front of the fruit section, counting the coins they had. 3 bananas cost $1. Daisy read the price out loud. "Well, we only have 80 cents, Clara said, disappointed. "Maybe the man will take 80 cents for 2 bananas. They approached the cashier, a young man who was chewing gum and looking at his phone. "Excuse me," Clara said shyly. "Will you take 80 cents for 2 bananas? The young man looked at them with a bored expression. "The price is right there. 3 for $1. I don't give discounts." "But we only have 80 cents, Daisy insisted, "and our mom is hungry." "Not my problem. Either you pay the right price or you get nothing." Miles felt anger rise within him. How could someone be so insensitive to 2 small children? Without thinking, he approached the counter. "I'll pay the difference," he said, placing a $5 bill on the counter, "and you can give them the bananas." Clara and Daisy turned around, surprised. When they saw who it was, their little faces lit up. "It's the man from the bakery," Daisy exclaimed, smiling. "The man who bought our bread," Clara added. Miles felt his chest warm. They remembered him. "Hi, girls. How are you?" "We're good," Daisy answered cheerfully. "Our mum got a few coins today and sent us to buy a banana." The cashier handed over the bananas and the change reluctantly. Miles took the change and gave it to Clara. "Thank you, sir," she said, looking at him with those big blue eyes. "You always show up when we need you." "It's like magic," Daisy added. Miles laughed. "It's not magic, just good luck. Do you want to have a snack with me? There's a cafe on the corner." The 2 looked at each other, excited. "Can we, sir?" "Of course you can." Miles took them to a small cafe on the corner. It was a simple place, with wooden tables and a basic menu, but it was clean and welcoming. "You can order whatever you want," he said, as they sat at a table near the window. The girls' eyes sparkled. They ordered grilled cheese sandwiches, apple juice, and a slice of chocolate cake to share. As they ate, they talked excitedly about everything and nothing. They told him about the dolls they had left at home, about a cat that always appeared in the courtyard of their apartment building, and about how they loved to draw. "And your mother?" Miles asked, trying to sound casual. "How is she?" The girl's expressions became a little more serious. "Mommy's fine," Clara answered. "Vice, but she gets sad sometimes." "Why?" "Because there's no work," Daisy explained. "She goes out every day to look, but she always comes back without finding anything." "She's very good," Clara added. "She sings to us before we sleep, even when she's sad." Miles felt a pang in his chest. "What's your mother's name?" "Anna," they both answered at the same time. "And where do you live?" "In a tiny little apartment," Daisy said. "It's not very pretty, but Mommy always keeps everything clean." "Mommy says it doesn't matter where we live. What matters is that we love each other," Clara added. Miles was silent for a moment, processing this information. Anna, a single, unemployed mother, struggling to feed her 2 young daughters, and yet she was teaching them about love and dignity. "You two are very brave," he said finally. "Brave?" Daisy seemed surprised. "Yes, the way you take care of each other, the way you help your mother, that's being brave." The girls smiled, proud. When they finished eating, Miles walked them back home. They lived in an old building, with peeling paint and creaky stairs, but Clara and Daisy ran up them as if it were the most wonderful place in the world. "Thank you for the snack, sir," Clara said when they reached their apartment door. "It was the best snack we've ever had," Daisy added. "You're welcome. It was a pleasure getting to know you better." The girls went into the apartment, waving from the window. Miles stood there for a few minutes, looking at the building. When he returned home that night, the restlessness had subsided a bit, but it had been replaced by something even stronger, the desire to do something. He didn't know exactly what, but he knew he couldn't just go back to his life as if nothing had happened. Clara, Daisy, and Anna, a small family struggling to survive in a large, indifferent city. And somehow, they had stirred something inside him that he didn't even know existed. That night, for the first time in a long time, Miles slept peacefully. Miles woke up on Monday with a different feeling. It was no longer the restlessness that had been haunting him. It was something lighter, more hopeful. For the first time in years, he had something to look forward to besides meetings and financial reports. He took his personal car and drove to the neighborhood where Clara and Daisy lived. As he neared their building, he slowed down and looked around. He didn't see them anywhere. He parked across the street and waited. 10 minutes passed. 20. He was starting to feel ridiculous when the building door opened. Clara and Daisy came running down the stairs, as always, hand in hand. They stopped on the sidewalk and began to look from side to side, as if they were looking for something or someone. Miles felt his heart race. Were they waiting for him? He got out of the car and crossed the street. When the girls saw him, their little faces lit up. "Sir!" Daisy shouted, running towards him. "We were waiting for you. Waiting for me." Miles knelt down to be at their height. "Yes, we thought maybe you'd come again today," Clara explained, shy but smiling. "So we came to wait here on the sidewalk," Daisy added. "Our mum said we could stay here until 9. "Good thing I came at the right time then. Have you had breakfast yet?" The two of them shook their heads no. "How about we go have breakfast together?" The girls' eyes sparkled. Miles took them to the cafe on the corner. They sat at the same table near the window. Clara and Daisy ordered pancakes with syrup and hot chocolate. "Kind sir." Miles laughed when they used the nickname again. "That's what we call you," Daisy explained, "because we don't know your name." "My name is Miles." "Miles," Clara repeated. "That's a nice name." "Mr. Miles," Daisy smiled. "Now we can tell our mommy your name." And he came back. The next day and the next and the one after that. Every morning, Clara and Daisy waited for him on the sidewalk. Sometimes they would go for breakfast. Other times they would just walk around the neighborhood, talking. "Push us on the swing, Mr. Miles," Daisy asked, when he started taking them to a small park. "Higher, higher," Clara shouted, laughing. Miles found himself laughing too. When was the last time he had laughed like that? On the 4th day, they showed him their dolls. They had brought Princess on Flowers and Friend to the park. "This is Princess," Clara said. "She's very brave. And this is Flower." Daisy showed him hers. "She likes to dance." "And Friend belongs to both of us," Clara explained. "We share her." The girls would tell him about their day's adventures, how they had helped an elderly neighbor, how they had found an injured kitten and taken care of it, how they had drawn cards to make their mom happier. "Our mom gets very sad when she can't find work," Clara told him one day. "She thinks we don't see it, but we do. She goes into the bathroom and cries quietly," Daisy added. "We pretend not to hear, but we hear." Miles felt his heart ache. Two 5-year-old girls worried about emotionally taking care of their mother. "You two are very special," he said. "Your mother is very lucky to have you." "We're the lucky ones to have her," Clara replied. "And now we're lucky to have you too." "It's like we have a bigger family," Daisy smiled. Family. The word echoed in Miles' mind. That was exactly how he felt. At the end of the second week, Miles realized that something had fundamentally changed in his life. His days revolved around these meetings with Clara and Daisy. "Mr. Miles," Clara said one day when they were at the park, "can we ask you something?" "Of course. Do you have a family?" "I have my mother, but we're not very close." "And a father?" "My father died when I was little." "Just like ours," Daisy said quietly. "Mommy says he was very good," Clara said, "that he used to sing to us when we were babies, and that he loved us very much," Daisy added. "But he got sick and went to heaven." Miles was silent for a moment. Anna had lost her husband and was now struggling alone to raise her daughters. "Mr. Miles," Daisy said suddenly, "do you want to meet our mommy?" Miles's heart leaped. He had thought about it many times. "Do you think she would like to meet me?" "I think so," Clara replied. "We talk about you to her every day, and she always asks about the kind sir." Daisy smiled. She said that anyone who is so good to her daughters must be a special person. "I would love to meet your mother. Then we can arrange it." Daisy clapped her hands. "Mommy always gets home at 5 o'clock. "We can tell her you're coming over tomorrow," Clara suggested. "Feel you sure she won't be bothered?" "No, she'll be happy, we know it." The next morning, Miles was nervous. Clara and Daisy were waiting for him on the sidewalk, more excited than usual. "Mr. Miles, Mommy said yes," Clara announced. "She's excited to meet you," Daisy added. "And she made lemonade." "It's the only special thing we had to offer," Clara explained. At 5 o'clock sharp, they went up the stairs of the building. Miles was carrying a bag with fruit, bread, milk, and some sweets. "Mommy, we're home!" Daisy shouted when they reached the 3rd floor. The door opened, and Miles saw a young woman with blonde hair tied in a simple ponytail. She was wearing a white blouse and a blue skirt, both clean but old. Her eyes were the same light blue as her daughter's. "Mommy, this is Mr. Miles," Clara said proudly. Anna smiled, and Miles understood where the girls had inherited that genuine smile. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Miles. I'm Anna. Clara and Daisy talk about you all the time." "The pleasure is all mine, Anna. Your daughters are extraordinary." "Please, come in." "Our apartment is small, but it's our home," Clara finished. Miles entered the apartment and understood immediately. The place was small and simple, but impeccably clean. There were flowers in bottles, the girls' drawings taped to the wall, and a sense of love that permeated every corner. "Please, have a seat," Anna indicated the sofa. "I made lemonade. I hope you like it." As Anna served the lemonade, Miles observed the apartment. There was little furniture, but everything was arranged with care. A small table, a bookshelf with a few books, and the girls' toys neatly organized. "Miles," Anna said, sitting across from him while Clara and Daisy played on the floor. "I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done for the girls. You don't need to thank me. It's a pleasure to be with them. They tell me about the breakfasts, the outings. You can't imagine how much that means to them, and to me." Anna paused, choosing her words carefully. It's been a long time since they've had a positive male figure in their lives. Since their father died. "Clara and Daisy told me you lost him when they were babies." Anna nodded, her eyes filling with sadness. "David, cancer. It was very fast. The girls don't even remember him, but I remember everything." She took a deep breath before continuing. "After he died, it was very difficult. I worked in a shop, but the money barely covered the bills. When the girls started to grow, the expenses increased and Anna paused, fighting back emotion. I lost my job 6 months ago. The shop closed. Since then, I've been looking for work every day, but it's hard, especially when you need flexible hours because of the children. Miles listened in silence, feeling a deep respect for this woman. So I do what I can to maintain our dignity, Anna continued. I've never begged, never asked for government help. I sell a few things when I need to, do some odd jobs, but... She looked at her daughters, who were playing quietly. Sometimes I wonder if I'm being stubborn, if I shouldn't just swallow my pride. But I want Clara and Daisy to learn that we can hold our heads high, even in the most difficult situations. And they have learned, Miles said softly. They are the most dignified children I have ever met. Anna smiled, tears forming in her eyes. Thank you for saying that. Sometimes I feel like I'm failing them. You're not failing. You're raising 2 extraordinary girls. They like you very much, Miles. They talk about you all the time. You've become very important to them. Miles looked at Clara and Daisy. They've become very important to me, too. More than I ever thought possible. Anna studied his face. May I ask why you're so interested in them? You seem to be a successful man. Since I met your daughters, my life has more meaning. They remind me of what truly matters. Anna nodded, as if she understood. They have that effect on people. They always manage to find joy in the simplest things. They talked for another hour. Anna told him about the dreams she had for her daughters. Miles talked about his work, but in a simple way. When it was time to leave, Clara and Daisy hugged him tightly. Did you like our house, Mr. Miles? Clara asked. I loved it. It's a home full of love. And did you like our mommy? Daisy wanted to know. Miles looked at Anna. Your mother is a very special woman. Now I understand where you get so much strength and kindness. When Miles left the apartment that night, he couldn't stop thinking about the difference between the two worlds. He had everything money could buy, but Anna had something he had never possessed. A true home. Unconditional love. For the first time, Miles wondered if there was a way to help Anna and the girls without offending their dignity. If there was a way to become part of that small but extraordinary family that had touched his heart. They've become very important to me too, he admitted, more than I ever thought possible. Anna studied his face for a moment. May I ask, why are you so interested in them? You seem to be a successful man. You must have a life full of important commitments. Miles thought about the question. How could he explain that meeting Clara and Daisy had changed something fundamental inside him? How could he say that for the first time in years he felt truly alive? Honestly, Anna, I can't fully explain it. But since I met your daughters, my life has more meaning. They remind me of what truly matters. Anna nodded, as if she understood. They have that effect on people. They always have. Even when we were poorer than we are now, they managed to find joy in the simplest things. They talked for another hour. Anna told him about the dreams she had for her daughters, about how she wanted them to study and have opportunities she never had. Miles talked about his work, but in a simple way, without mentioning the extent of his wealth. When it was time to leave, Clara and Daisy hugged him tightly. Did you like our house, Mr. Miles? Clara asked. I loved it. It's a home full of love. And did you like our mommy? Daisy wanted to know. Miles looked at Anna, who was watching the scene with a soft smile. Your mother is a very special woman. Now I understand where you get so much strength and kindness. As Miles left the apartment that night, his mind was buzzing. He had met many people in his life, but Anna was different. There was a quiet strength in her, a dignity that not even the most difficult circumstances could break. Driving back to his luxurious apartment, Miles couldn't stop thinking about the difference between the two worlds. He had everything money could buy, but Anna had something he had never possessed, a true home, unconditional love, and the genuine respect of people who truly knew him. That night, for the first time, Miles wondered if there was a way to bring these two worlds together, if there was a way to help Anna and the girls without offending their dignity, if there was a way to become part of that small but extraordinary family that had touched his heart in a way he had never imagined possible. Miles drove back to his apartment in silence, Anna's words echoing in his mind. When he arrived at the luxurious building where he lived, the doorman greeted him with the same professional smile as always, but Miles barely noticed. His head was somewhere else. In the elevator, looking at his reflection in the mirrored doors, he saw a well-dressed man in a suit that cost more than many people's rent for an entire year. But for the first time, that image bothered him. When he reached his apartment, the difference hit him like a punch to the gut. The place was 3 times the size of some entire apartments, with furniture that cost fortunes, works of art on the walls, and a prime view of the city. Everything perfect, everything expensive, everything empty. Miles poured himself a whiskey from a bottle that cost more than Anna spent on food in 6 months, but the liquid tasted bland in his mouth. He walked to the panoramic window and looked at the city below. Somewhere in that vast expanse of lights, Anna was putting Clara and Daisy to bed, probably singing to them as they did every night, even when she was too tired to stand, probably wondering if she would find work the next day, if there would be enough food for another week. Miles sat down in the $15,000 Italian leather armchair and tried to focus on the reports Janet had left for him to review. But the words seemed jumbled on the page. Every time he tried to focus on the numbers, he saw Anna's blue eyes telling her story with a dignity that left him speechless. "I do what I can to maintain our dignity," she had said. "I've never begged." Miles dropped the papers and put his head in his hands. When was the last time he had met someone with so much inner strength? When was the last time he had felt so small in the face of someone else's greatness of character? He tried to distract himself by turning on the 70-inch television, but the images passed without registering in his mind. He tried to take a bath in the marble tub that was larger than Anna's entire bathroom, but the hot water couldn't ease the restlessness he felt. That night, Miles barely slept. He lay in his king-size bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the stark difference between the 2 worlds he had experienced that day. On one hand, his life of purposeless luxury. On the other, a small but united family fighting with dignity against adversity. The next morning, Miles woke up with a crystal-clear certainty. He had to do something, but not just anything. He didn't want to be another rich man handing out charity to ease his conscience. He wanted to do something that truly mattered. Something that respected the dignity of that family, that had moved him more deeply than any million-dollar deal. During breakfast, Miles could barely eat. His mind was too busy processing what he had discovered about himself in the last 24 hours. He wasn't just rich and empty. He was capable of feeling something real, something profound when he met genuine people. "Mr. Harrison?" Janet appeared at the office door with a stack of documents. "The contracts for the Seattle acquisition are ready, and the board wants to meet this afternoon to discuss the expansion into Europe." Miles looked at her, as if he were seeing her for the first time. Janet had worked for him for years, but he had never asked about her personal life. He had never been interested in knowing if she had children, if she was happy, if her dreams were being realized. "Janet," he said suddenly, "do you have children?" She blinked, surprised by the unexpected question. "I do, sir. 2 girls. Emma and Sophie. How old are they?" 8 and 10. "And you? Do you get to spend enough time with them?" Janet seemed even more confused. "Well, I work a lot, as you know, but I try to make up for it on the weekends." Miles nodded, feeling a pang of guilt. How many extra hours had he asked Janet to work over the years? How many times had she missed important moments with her daughters because he needed another report? Another meeting. "Janet, starting today, I want you to leave at 5 o'clock every day. I don't want any more unnecessary overtime." "Sir, but what if something urgent comes up?" "If it's truly urgent, we'll deal with it. But your family is more important than any report." Janet smiled, clearly touched. "Thank you, Mr. Harrison. That means a lot to me." After she left, Miles was alone with his thoughts. He began to wonder how many other people in his life he had treated as pieces of a chess game, useful only for his own goals. During lunch, Miles couldn't concentrate on the conversation with the London investors. His mind was busy drawing up a plan. He wanted to help Anna, but in a way that preserved her dignity. He didn't want to give her money. He wanted to give her an opportunity. Anna had said she looked for work every day. that she needed flexible hours because of the girls. Miles owned a hotel chain. Surely there would be a suitable position for her somewhere. After lunch, Miles asked Janet to bring the human resources files for all the chain's hotels in the city. He wanted to understand exactly what types of vacancies were available, which offered the best benefits, and which would have hours compatible with a single mother's routine. "Mr. Harrison," Janet said as she brought the files, "may I ask why you're interested in the HR details? Usually, that's handled by the managers. I'm thinking about some changes. I want to better understand how we treat our employees." Miles spent the entire afternoon studying the files. He discovered that Harrison Hotels offered a decent benefits package, health insurance, meal vouchers, and a partner daycare for employees, children. Nothing revolutionary, but better than many companies. There was a vacancy in the housekeeping department of the main hotel. Hours from 6 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon, Monday to Friday. Perfect for someone who needed to pick up their daughters from school. The salary wasn't high, but it was stable, with the possibility of internal growth. Miles made a few calls to the HR department. He wanted to make sure everything would be ready, that there would be no unnecessary bureaucracy, that the process would be as smooth as possible. "Mr. Harrison," said Margaret, the HR directors, when he explained the situation, "it's very noble of you to take a personal interest in a candidate, but may I ask how you know this person?" "It's a personal situation, someone I admire very much. I want to make sure she gets a fair opportunity." "Of course, sir. I'll arrange everything. She can start on Monday if she wants." When he finished his calls, Miles felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: purpose. Not the kind of empty satisfaction that came from closing another lucrative deal, but something deeper. The feeling that he was doing something that truly mattered. The next day, Miles drove to the market near Anna's apartment. He filled 2 baskets with everything a family could need: fruits, vegetables, meat, dairy, cleaning supplies, toiletries. But he was careful not to overdo it. He didn't want it to look like charity. He wanted it to look like a gift from a friend. When he arrived at the building, Clara and Daisy were playing on the sidewalk. They ran to him with the brightest smiles he had ever seen. "Mr. Miles," Daisy shouted, "we were waiting for you." "Mommy said you would come back," Clara added. "She was very happy after you left yesterday." "Happy why?" Miles asked, curious. "Because she said you're a truly good person," Daisy explained, "and that we can trust you." Miles felt his chest warm. Anna's trust meant more to him than any $1 million contract. "Is your mummy home?" he asked. "She is. She came home early today. She didn't find a job again, but she said it doesn't matter, that something good will happen soon." Miles went up the stairs with the 2 baskets, followed by the excited girls. When Anna opened the door and saw the groceries, her eyes widened. "Miles, you shouldn't have—" "It's not charity, Anna," he said quickly. "It's a gift from a friend, and I have a proposal for you." Anna invited him in, clearly curious. The girls ran to play in their room, giving the adults privacy to talk. "Anna," Miles began, sitting on the small sofa. "Yesterday you told me about your search for work, that you need flexible hours and stability. I thought a lot about it, and I think I have something that might interest you." Anna sat on the edge of her chair, attentive. "I own a chain of hotels. We have an opening in the housekeeping department at the main hotel. Hours are 6 to 2, Monday to Friday. Full health insurance, meal vouchers, and we have a partnership with an excellent daycare where Clara and Daisy could stay while you work." Anna's eyes filled with tears. "Miles, is this real?" "Completely real. The salary is $2,800 a month to start, with a semi-annual review and the possibility of internal growth. If you want it, you can start on Monday." Anna covered her mouth with her hands, clearly moved. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll accept. Not because you have to, but because you deserve it. Because you are a hard-working, dedicated woman, and any company would be lucky to have you." "But Miles, why are you doing this? You barely know me." Miles thought about the question for a moment. "Because you taught me something important, Anna. You showed me what real dignity is, what true strength is, and because Clara and Daisy taught me what unconditional love is." The three of you have changed my life more than any professional success ever has. Anna started to cry, but they were tears of relief and gratitude. It's not out of pity, she asked, vulnerably. Anna, look at me, Miles said, leaning forward. You've raised two extraordinary daughters on your own. You've maintained your family's dignity, even in the most difficult circumstances. You teach love and hope every day. I don't feel pity for you. I feel admiration, deep respect, and I'm honored to be able to offer you this opportunity. Anna wiped her tears and smiled. Then I accept with great pride. At that moment, Clara and Daisy came running from the kitchen. Mommy, why are you crying? Clara asked, concerned. They're happy tears, my love, Anna said, hugging them both. Mr. Miles offered Mommy a job. A real job? Daisy asked, excited. A real job, Anna confirmed. Yes, with a salary every month, health insurance, and you'll get to stay at a cool daycare while I work. The girls started jumping for joy, hugging Miles tightly. Now we won't be hungry anymore, Clara exclaimed. And Mommy won't be sad anymore, Daisy added. Miles knelt down to their level. Do you know why your mom got this job? The two of them shook their heads no. It's because she is a very special person, very hardworking and dedicated. She deserves all the good things that are happening. And because you are our guardian angel, Clara said, making Miles laugh. I'm no guardian angel. I'm just a friend who wants to see you happy. When Miles left the apartment that afternoon, he felt different. Lighter, yet at the same time fuller. For the first time in years, he had used his position and resources for something that truly mattered, not to make more money or impress investors, but to change the lives of people who had changed his. Driving back home, Miles reflected on how strange it was that three people he had met by chance in a bakery had made such a profound impact on his life. Anna, Clara, and Daisy had shown him what he was missing in his world of empty luxury. Real human connection, true purpose, and the satisfaction that comes from making a difference in someone's life. That night, Miles slept better than he had in years, and for the first time in a long time, he woke up looking forward to what the next day would bring. On Monday morning, Anna woke up at 5 o'clock. For the first time in months, it wasn't the knot of anxiety in her stomach that woke her, but anticipation. Today she would start a real job. A job with a contract, benefits, and the possibility of giving Clara and Daisy a better life. She got up quietly, showered quickly, and put on the clothes she had set out the night before. Clean jeans and a simple white blouse. Nothing fancy, but dignified. She wanted to make a good first impression. Mommy? Clara appeared at the bedroom door, rubbing her eyes. Is it time yet? Not yet, my love. Go back to sleep. I'll wake you up in a little while. But Clara didn't go back to bed. Instead, she came closer and hugged Anna around the waist. Mommy, I'm proud of you. Anna felt her eyes well up with tears. Thank you, Clara. That means everything to me. At 6:30, Anna woke the girls. They had breakfast together, a real breakfast, with bread, milk, fruit, and even a little jam. The pantry was full thanks to the baskets Miles had brought, and Anna knew that soon she herself could maintain that abundance. You're going to like the daycare, Anna said as she fixed the girls a hair. Miss Margaret explained to me that they have toys, books, and other kids for you to play with. And will we see you every day when you get off work? Daisy asked. Every day. I finish work at 2 and I'll come pick you up. Then we'll go home together. At 7:15, Anna dropped Clara and Daisy off at Sunshine Kids Daycare, the hotel's partner. The place was welcoming, with colorful walls, toys scattered everywhere, and smiling staff who greeted the girls warmly. Don't worry, Mrs. Williams, said the coordinator, a friendly woman named Sarah. They'll be fine, and if anything happens, we have your number. Anna kissed her daughters and left for the hotel. On the bus ride, she looked out the window and allowed herself to dream a little. For the first time in a long time, she had hope. Hope that things were finally changing for the better. The Harrison Hotel was imposing. Anna had never entered such a luxurious place. The lobby was all marble, with enormous chandeliers and furniture that looked like it cost more than her entire apartment. For a moment, she felt out of place. Anna Williams, a woman in a suit, approached her. "I'm Margaret, from Human Resources. It's a pleasure to meet you." "The pleasure is mine," Anna replied, shaking her hand. Margaret took her to a room where she explained all the procedures, handed her the uniform, and introduced her to her supervisor, a 50-year-old woman named Rosa. "Welcome to the team, Anna," Rosa said with a genuine smile. "I've been working here for 15 years. It's a good place to work. The bosses treat us well." Rosa showed Anna the entire floor that would be her responsibility. 12 guest rooms, 2 service bathrooms, and a small corridor. It wasn't easy work, but Anna was used to hard labor. "The important thing is attention to detail," Rosa explained. "The guests pay a lot of money to stay here, so everything has to be perfect. But you'll get the hang of it over time." Anna started slowly, paying attention to every instruction: how to fold the sheets in a specific way, how to clean the bathroom without leaving streaks on the mirror, how to arrange the towels so they looked like they were from a magazine. The work was tiring, but Anna felt a satisfaction she hadn't felt in months. Every room she finished was a small victory. Every well-made bed was proof that she was capable, that she was contributing, that she had value. "You're fast," Rosa commented at lunchtime, "and careful. I like that." "Thank you. I want to do a good job." "You already are. Keep it up." During lunch in the employee cafeteria, Anna talked with other colleagues. She found out that many of them were single mothers too, that they all faced similar challenges, but that they had found a stability at the hotel that other companies didn't offer. "Mr. Harrison is different from other rich bosses," commented a colleague named Linda. "He genuinely cares about us. Last year, when my daughter got sick, he made sure I had all the necessary leave." Anna smiled, thinking about how Miles had changed her and the girls' lives. He really was different. The afternoon passed quickly. Anna finished her rooms 15 minutes early and helped a colleague who was running behind. When Rosa saw this, she made a point to praise her. Teamwork. That's important here. At 2 o'clock sharp, Anna clocked out and left the hotel. She was tired, yes, but it was a different kind of tired. It was the exhaustion of someone who had worked hard and done a good job. It was the exhaustion of dignity. On the bus to the daycare, Anna calculated mentally. With the salary she was going to receive, she could pay the rent on time, buy enough food for the whole month, and still have a little left over for emergencies. For the first time in a long time, she wouldn't have to choose between paying the electricity bill and buying milk for the girls. "Mommy!" Clara and Daisy ran to her when she arrived at the daycare. "How was your first day?" Anna asked, hugging them both. "It was amazing," Daisy exclaimed. "We made drawings, played with Play-Doh, and Miss Sarah read a really cool story." "And we made new friends," Clara added. "Emma and Sophie. They're really nice." On the way home, the girls recounted every detail of their day at daycare. Anna listened attentively, happy to see them so excited. For months, she had worried that they were missing out on important experiences by being home alone so much. "And how was Mommy's work?" Clara asked. "It was great, my love. Tiring, but great. Mommy is going to work there every day now." "Forever?" Daisy wanted to know. "I hope so, sweetie." "I hope so." When they got home, Anna prepared a snack for the girls and allowed herself to relax a bit on the sofa. She looked around the small apartment and saw it with new eyes. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. And now, with her job, she could even improve a few things. Maybe buy new sheets, maybe fix the dripping faucet. By the end of the first week, Anna had completely adapted to the routine. Waking up at 5, getting the girls ready, dropping them at daycare, working with dedication, picking them up at 2:15, and returning home for the rest of the day together. "Rosa is very impressed with you," Margaret commented on Friday. "She said you're one of the best employees she's ever trained." Anna smiled, proud. "Thank you, I try my best. And it shows. Keep up the good work." On Friday night, Anna did something she hadn't done in a long time. She cooked a special dinner for the girls. Nothing extravagant, but a roast chicken with potatoes and salad. A real family dinner. "Mommy, why is the food so yummy?" Daisy asked. Anna laughed. "Because Mommy's happy. When you're happy, everything tastes better." "Are you happy because of your job?" Clara wanted to know. I'm happy for many things, my love. For the job, for you two, for having met Mr. Miles, for having food on the table, for being together and healthy. That night, after putting the girls to bed, Anna sat at the kitchen table and did something she hadn't done in months. She planned for the future. She calculated how much she could save per month. She thought about enrolling the girls in dance or music classes when she had the extra funds. She even dreamed of getting a bigger apartment in the future. But the most important thing was the feeling of stability. For the first time since David had died, Anna felt she had control over her life, that she wasn't just surviving but living. On Saturday morning, Anna woke up rested. There was no rush, no anxiety about looking for work. Just a quiet weekend with her daughters. "Mommy," Clara said during breakfast, "you seem different." "Different how?" "More happy, less worried." Anna smiled and hugged her daughter. "It's because I am, my love. Mommy is very happy." And it was true. For the first time in a long time, Anna Williams was happy. Not just relieved or hopeful, but genuinely happy. She had a job that respected her dignity, healthy daughters and a full pantry. She had stability, purpose, and the feeling that the future held good things. When she lay down in bed that night, Anna gave a silent thanks. She thanked Miles for coming into their lives. She thanked for the opportunity to start over. And she thanked for her daughters, who motivated her every day to be a better person. Life still wasn't easy, but it was dignified. And for Anna, that made all the difference. Miles was in his office reviewing some contracts when an idea came to his mind. It had been 2 weeks since Anna had started working at the hotel, and from the reports he received, she was doing exceptionally well. Rosa couldn't stop praising her dedication and attention to detail, but Miles hadn't seen Clara and Daisy since the day he offered Anna the job. He missed them. He missed their genuine smiles, their spontaneous conversations, the pure joy they brought to his life. He picked up the phone and called Margaret in Human Resources. "Margaret, can you give me Anna Williams's number? I want to talk to her about something." "Of course, Mr. Harrison. Is there a problem with her work?" "No, on the contrary. It's something personal." Miles called Anna that afternoon, when he knew she would already be home with the girls. "Anna, it's Miles." "Miles? What a nice surprise. How are you?" "I'm well. And you all? How is the adjustment to the job going?" "It's been wonderful. I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done for us. You don't need to thank me. Actually, I wanted to make a proposal. How about Clara and Daisy spend a Saturday with me at the hotel? They could see where you work, maybe have lunch at the restaurant, use the pool." On the other end of the line, Anna was silent for a moment. "Miles, that's very generous, but I don't want you to feel obligated." "Anna, it's not an obligation, it's a desire. I miss the girls, and I think it would be nice for them to see where their mom works, to feel a part of it all. Let me ask them." Miles heard Anna calling the girls and explaining the proposal. The response was immediate, shouts of joy and a chorus of, "Yes, yes, yes." "I think you have your answer," Anna laughed. "Far as they would love to." On Saturday morning, Miles went to pick up Clara and Daisy. They were waiting on the sidewalk, wearing their best dresses and with their hair neatly styled in braids that Anna had done. "Mr. Miles," the two shouted in unison, running to him, "my favorite girls. You look beautiful." "Mommy said we were going to see where she works," Clara said, excited. "And that we were going to eat hotel food," Daisy added, her eyes shining. "We're going to do all that and more." During the drive to the hotel, the girls didn't stop talking. They told him about daycare, about the new friends they had made, about how proud they were of their mother. "Mommy comes home tired but happy," Clara observed. "She says she likes her job." "And she bought new food," Daisy exclaimed. "Even yogurt. We've never had yogurt before." Miles smiled, feeling his chest warm. Knowing he had made a difference in their lives was better than any professional success. When they arrived at the Harrison Hotel, Clara and Daisy were speechless. "Is this where Mommy works?" Clara whispered, impressed. "It's so pretty," Daisy said, looking at the marble lobby with wide eyes. "Do you want to see where your mum works?" The girls nodded enthusiastically. Miles took them to the service elevator, and up to the floor where Anna worked. He had arranged with Rosa for her to be there on Saturday, just to show the girls the work. "Girls," Rosa exclaimed when she saw them, "you must be Clara and Daisy. Your mother talks so much about you." "Do you know our mommy?" Clara asked shyly. "Of course I do. She's one of the best employees we have. You must be very proud of her." "We are," Daisy replied with conviction. Rosa showed them a room that Anna had prepared that morning. Everything was perfect. Sheets stretched without a wrinkle, towels folded artistically, the bathroom sparkling. "Your mother did all of this," Rosa explained. "She has a special talent for making everything beautiful." Clara and Daisy ran their hands over the sheets, impressed. "Mommy is very neat," Clara said with pride. "She always keeps our house tidy too," Daisy added. After the visit to the work floor, Miles took the girls to the main restaurant of the hotel. The place was elegant, with polished wooden tables, shining silverware, and a view of the garden. "Can I order anything?" Daisy asked, looking at the menu with big eyes. "Anything you want." The girls chose hamburgers with French fries, orange juice, and for dessert, ice cream with chocolate sauce. Miles ordered just a salad, but ended up eating half of their fries because they insisted he try them. "Mr. Miles," Clara said between bites, "this is the best lunch of our lives." "Better than the pancakes at the cafe?" Miles teased. "Different," Daisy reflected. "The pancakes are special because it was the first place we went together. But this is special because it's where our mommy works." After lunch, Miles took them to the hotel pool. He had brought new swimsuits for them, and when they saw the large, blue pool with lounge chairs all around and a view of the city, they were speechless. "Can we really get in?" Clara asked, incredulous. "Of course. That's why we came." The girls ran to the changing room to get changed and came running back. The first thing they did was dive in, screaming with joy. Miles sat on a lounge chair, watching them play. "Look, Mr. Miles, I can swim," Daisy shouted, making clumsy movements that looked more like a doggy paddle. "Me too," Clara tried to imitate her sister. They played in the pool for over an hour. They invented games, pretended to be mermaids, and laughed until they were out of breath. Miles couldn't stop smiling at their pure joy. When they got out of the pool, the girls dried off and sat next to Miles. "Mr. Miles," Clara said, suddenly serious, "we wanted to tell you something." "What is it?" "We've never had such a special day," Daisy began. "We've never eaten in such a beautiful place, never swum in such a big pool." "We felt like princesses," Clara added. "You are princesses. Very special princesses." Clara was thoughtful for a moment. "Mr. Miles, maybe now we'll be able to get a good education," she said, and then shook her head. "But this is already good enough. We have food, and you come to see us." Miles felt something tighten in his chest. Even after everything that had changed in their lives, Clara still dreamed of basic things like getting a proper education. And yet, she was grateful for what she had. "Clara, you will get an education. You both will. You'll have all the opportunities you deserve." "Do you really think so?" Daisy asked, hopeful. "I'm sure of it. You are very smart girls. You'll achieve anything you want in life." At the end of the afternoon, Miles took the girls back home. They were tired but radiant, talking non-stop about everything they had experienced. "Mommy's not going to believe it," Clara said in the car. "We're going to tell her everything, every little thing," Daisy added. When they arrived at the building, Anna was waiting at the window. She ran down to greet them. "How was it, girls?" she asked, hugging them both. "So, Mommy, it was amazing," Clara began. "We saw where you work and Miss Rosa said you're the best employee. And we ate at a real restaurant," Daisy added, "with a waiter and everything. And we swam in a giant pool," Clara completed. Anna looked at Miles with tears in her eyes. "Miles, thank you. You have no idea what this means to them." "It was special for me too, Anna. I missed them." "Can we go again, Mr. Miles?" Daisy asked. "Whenever you want." When Miles said goodbye that night, he felt complete in a way he hadn't in years. He had provided a special day for Clara and Daisy, but they had given him something even greater, the memory of how good it feels to make someone happy without expecting anything in return. Driving back home, Miles thought about Clara's phrase. Maybe now we'll be able to get a good education. But this is already good enough. The gratitude of those girls, even while dreaming of such basic things, inspired him to be a better person every day. He had found more than 2 children in a bakery. He had found a family that taught him the true meaning of happiness. Anna was at the grocery store buying ingredients for dinner when she heard a familiar voice behind her. Anna? Anna Williams? She turned and saw Brenda, a former colleague from the store where she had worked before becoming unemployed. Brenda had red hair and an expression that always seemed to be judging something. "Hi, Brenda," Anna said, trying to sound cheerful. "How are you?" "Fine, fine. And you? I heard you got a job." "I did. At the Harrison Hotel." "It's going very well." Brenda raised an eyebrow. "Harrison Hotel, that fancy place downtown. How did you get a job there?" Anna hesitated. She didn't know exactly how to explain the situation without sounding strange. "It was through a recommendation." "Anna," Brenda moved closer, lowering her voice, "you have to be careful. These opportunities that appear out of nowhere always come with a price." "What do you mean?" "A rich man doesn't help for free. Never. Especially not a young, pretty woman with 2 little girls." Anna felt her blood run cold. "It's not like that, Brenda. He's a good person. That's what they want you to think. First comes the help, then comes the price. And by the time you realize it, you'll be in a situation you can't get out of." Brenda's words were like slaps to Anna's face. Each sentence planted a seed of doubt she didn't want to feel. "You're wrong," Anna murmured, but her voice lacked conviction. "I'm trying to protect you. You have 2 little girls to think about. You can't afford to be naive." Anna finished her shopping quickly and left the market, but Brenda's words echoed in her mind the entire way home. A rich man doesn't help for free. Sooner or later, he's going to collect. At home, Anna tried to focus on preparing dinner, but her hands trembled as she chopped the vegetables. The doubts Brenda had planted began to grow like weeds. "Mommy, why are you sad?" Clara asked, appearing in the kitchen. Anna flinched. "I'm not sad, honey. Just thinking. Someone said that maybe Mr. Miles isn't as good as we think." Clara frowned. "But he is good, Mommy. He's very good." "Mommy." Clara interrupted her with a seriousness that surprised Anna. "Mr. Miles makes us happy. He makes you happy. Why would someone say that's a bad thing?" Clara's simple, direct question struck Anna like a bolt of lightning. Why was she even doubting? That night, Anna lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. Brenda's words kept coming back, mixed with the memories of all the good times she had spent with Miles. But what if Brenda was right? What if there were ulterior motives? The next morning, Anna arrived at work earlier than usual. She was tidying a room when Rosa appeared. "Anna, is everything okay? You look worried." "Rosa, can I ask you something? Mr. Harrison, Miles, has he always been like this, so considerate of the employees?" Rosa studied Anna's face. "Why do you ask?" "It's just, someone told me yesterday that rich men don't help without wanting something in return." "Anna," Rosa said, sitting on the edge of the bed, "I've worked here for 15 years. I've seen Miles grow up, become a man, take over the business. And I can tell you one thing, he's changed a lot in the last few months." "Changed how?" "Before, he was polite, but distant. After he hired you, he started asking about the employees, about their families. Just yesterday, he approved an increase in the meal allowance for everyone. You know what I think? I think you all did him some good too. Sometimes people help each other." For the rest of the day, Anna tried to concentrate on her work, but the conversation with Brenda continued to bother her. When it was time to leave, she made a decision. Instead of going straight to the daycare, she called Miles. "Anna, what a surprise. Is everything okay?" "Miles, do you have a few minutes to talk? It's important." "Of course. Where do you want to meet?" "At the park where you used to take the girls." Anna picked up the girls from daycare and took them to the park. They ran to the playground, leaving Anna alone with her thoughts until Miles appeared. "Anna," he said when he saw her sitting on the bench. "Did something happen?" Anna took a deep breath. "Miles, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." "You can ask. Why did you do all this for us? The job, the help, the time you spend with the girls. Why, what do you want in return? Miles sat down next to her, clearly confused. Anna, I don't understand. Did something happen? I ran into an old colleague yesterday. She said rich men don't help for free, that there's always a price. And I got to thinking. Miles was silent for a long moment, and Anna felt her heart race. Anna, he said finally, his voice soft but firm. Look at me. She turned to face him. I don't want anything from you. Nothing. I just want you to be okay. But why? Why do you care? Miles sighed, as if trying to find the right words. Before I met you and the girls, I was empty. I had everything money could buy, but I had no life. I had no purpose. You showed me what really matters. You showed me what true love, a real family, is like. He paused, looking at Clara and Daisy playing on the swings. I should be thanking you, not the other way around. You saved my life in a way you can't even imagine. Anna felt tears well up in her eyes. But what if people talk? Let them talk. I know who I am. You know who you are. And the girls know that we care about each other. That's what matters. Anna wiped her tears and smiled. I'm sorry for doubting. You don't need to apologize. It's natural for you to protect yourself. At that moment, Clara and Daisy ran towards them. Mr. Miles, Daisy shouted. We didn't know you were coming. I came to visit you. I missed you. We miss you too, Clara said, throwing herself into his arms. Actually, Miles said, I brought a surprise for you. What surprise? They both asked at the same time. Miles went to his car and came back carrying 2 colorful backpacks, 2 small school uniforms, and a bag full of school supplies. You're going to start studying in a real school, he announced. Clara and Daisy were silent for a moment, as if they couldn't believe it. Then they exploded into shouts of joy. Really? Clara asked, picking up the pink backpack. Very real. You're going to Sunshine Elementary on Monday. Daisy hugged the purple backpack against her chest. Are we going to have a real teacher? A real teacher, classmates, recess, everything. The 2 girls dropped their backpacks and ran to hug Miles at the same time, almost knocking him over. Thank you, Mr. Miles, Clara said, squeezing him tight. You're the best friend in the world, Daisy added. Then Clara stepped back a little and looked at Miles with her serious blue eyes. Mr. Miles, she said slowly, you seem like a dad to us. Anna felt her heart stop for a moment. Yeah, Daisy agreed. A dad who takes care of us, brings us presents, and makes us happy. We love you very much, Clara said simply. Miles stood motionless, clearly emotional. Anna saw tears form in his eyes, the first time she had seen him cry. He began, but his voice failed him. We really do love you, Daisy insisted. The way we loved the daddy who went to heaven, but who we don't remember. But we remember you, Clara completed. And we want you to always be with us. Miles knelt to their height and pulled them into another hug, this time not hiding his tears. I love you too, he said with a choked voice. More than you can imagine. Anna felt her own tears fall. She had never seen someone so moved by the simple, pure love of her daughters. And in that moment, all the doubts Brenda had planted disappeared completely. She knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that Miles was exactly who he appeared to be, a good man who had found a family. When they finally broke from the hug, Miles wiped his eyes and smiled. Now shall we see what's in these backpacks? Clara and Daisy spent the next half hour exploring every item, colored pencils, new notebooks, animal-shaped erasers. Each discovery was met with exclamations of joy. Mommy, look! Clara showed a pencil case full of colored pencils. There are 24 colors. And look at this, Mommy. Daisy showed off a small calculator. It's for math. Anna watched it all with a full heart. It wasn't just about the material gifts, but what they represented: hope, a future, possibilities. As the sun began to set, they prepared to leave. The girls couldn't stop talking about school. Miles, Anna said as he put the backpacks in the car, thank you for everything, and I'm sorry for doubting. You don't need to apologize. You were protecting your daughters. And thank you for being who you are, for genuinely caring. Miles smiled. Thank you for letting me be a part of your family. Family. The word that had frightened Anna at first now sounded perfect. That night, when Anna put the girls to bed, they couldn't stop talking about school. "Mommy," Clara said before closing her eyes, "do you think Mr. Miles will always be our friend?" "Always, my love. Even when we grow up. Even when you grow up." And for the first time since her conversation with Brenda, Anna truly believed it. Miles was in his office reviewing some contracts when the phone rang. It was Anna. "Miles, hi, it's me." "Anna, how are you and the girls?" "We're all fine." "Actually, I wanted to invite you to something." Miles stopped writing, giving his full attention. "What kind of invitation?" "A dinner, here at my place. Tomorrow night, if you can. Nothing fancy, just a family dinner." Miles felt his chest warm. "I would love that." "Great. Is 7 o'clock good?" "Perfect." The next day, Miles left work early. He stopped at a flower shop and bought a simple bouquet of daisies for Anna. He also bought chocolates for Clara and Daisy. When he arrived at the building, he could smell home-cooked food coming from several apartments. It was dinner time, and families were gathering. For the first time, he felt like a part of that world. "Mr. Miles!" Clara and Daisy shouted when he knocked on the door. "My favorite girls," he said, hugging them both. "How are you?" "We're good. Mommy is cooking a very yummy dinner," Daisy announced. "And we helped," Clara added proudly. Miles entered the apartment and immediately noticed the difference. There was a tablecloth on the table, not new, but clean and ironed. Flowers in a makeshift vase, lit candles. The small home was more alive, more welcoming than ever. "Miles," Anna appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. "You came." "Of course I came. I wouldn't miss it for anything." He handed her the flowers. "For you." "Thank you, they're beautiful." Anna smiled, clearly touched. "Please, sit. Dinner is almost ready." Miles sat at the table and watched the household move. Clara and Daisy helped Anna bring out the dishes. There was a natural organization, a family rhythm he had never experienced. "What did you cook?" he asked. "Roast chicken with potatoes," Daisy answered, excited. "And we made salad." "I cut the tomatoes," Clara said with pride. "Mommy taught me." When Anna brought out the main dish, Miles was impressed. The chicken was golden, the potatoes perfectly cooked, the salad colorful and fresh. It was simple, but made with love. "Anna, this looks amazing." "Thank you. It's been a long time since I've cooked a full dinner like this." During the meal, they talked about everything and nothing. Clara and Daisy told him about their new school, about the friends they were making. Anna talked about her job, about how fulfilled she felt. Miles realized he was relaxed in a way he had never experienced before. It was just a family sharing a meal and talking about their day. "Mr. Miles," Clara said suddenly, "we have a surprise for you." "A surprise?" "Yes," Daisy confirmed, jumping out of her chair, "but only after dessert." Dessert was homemade pudding that Anna had made. Miles ate every spoonful slowly, savoring not just the sweet taste, but the moment. "Can we give him the surprise now?" Clara asked Anna. "Yes, you can." The two girls ran out and returned, carrying something wrapped in colorful paper. "It's for you," Daisy said, handing him the gift. "You shouldn't have." "Yes, we should have," Clara insisted. "Open it." Miles unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a cardboard picture frame decorated with glitter, ribbons, and glued-on stars. In the center, a drawing made with colored pencils, 4 figures holding hands, a tall blonde woman, 2 identical little girls, and a man in a suit. Below the drawing, in neat letters that Anna had clearly helped write, it said, "Our friend, our heart, our family." Miles stared at the gift, unable to speak. His hands trembled slightly as he held the picture frame. "We made it together," Clara explained. "I drew you and Daisy drew Mommy. And Mommy helped with the words," Daisy added. "Do you like it?" Miles tried to answer, but his voice wouldn't come out. He looked at the drawing again, at those 4 united figures, and felt something break inside his chest. But it wasn't a painful break. It was as if a wall he had built around his heart had finally crumbled. "Miles," Anna asked, concerned, "are you okay?" He wiped his eyes and smiled. "It's the most beautiful gift I've ever received in my life." "Really?" Clara asked. "Really? Can I hug you?" Clara and Daisy threw themselves into his arms at the same time. Anna moved closer and was also included in the hug. There in that small apartment, holding these three people who had completely changed his life, Miles finally understood. He was no longer alone. For years, he had lived in luxurious apartments, surrounded by expensive objects, but completely isolated. He had mistaken success for happiness, money for love, status for purpose. But there, at that simple table, with that homemade dinner, with that handmade gift, he had found something he didn't even know he was looking for. A home, not an expensive, empty place, but a space full of life, laughter, and genuine conversation. A place where he was expected, wanted, and loved for who he was, not for what he possessed. A family, not ties of blood or convenience, but people who cared for each other, who supported each other, people who had chosen him and whom he had chosen back. Real love. Not the kind of self-serving affection he had known his whole life, but something pure, unconditional, and transformative. The love of two little girls who saw him as a hero. The respect of a strong woman who trusted him. "Mr. Miles," Daisy said, still in the hug. "Why are you crying?" "They're happy tears, sweetie. I'm very, very happy." "We are too," Clara said. "We're a family now, right?" Miles looked at Anna, who was smiling through her own tears. "Yes, we are," he confirmed, "a real family." That night, when Miles returned to his apartment, everything seemed different. The place was still luxurious, but now it had a purpose. It was where he lived so he could be close to his family. What really mattered was kept carefully on his nightstand, a handmade picture frame made by two little girls who loved him. He called Janet the next morning. "Janet, I want to make some changes to my schedule. From now on, I want to always have Friday afternoons free and never schedule anything on the weekends unless it's truly urgent." "Is there a problem, Mr. Harrison?" "No problem at all. It's just that now I have a family to take care of." Miles Harrison had begun his journey as a lonely billionaire, owner of everything but empty inside, and he ended it as something much better. A man who had found his true home in the hearts of people who truly loved him. He had discovered that the greatest wealth was not in bank accounts or properties, but in having someone waiting for you at home, in being loved for who you are, in being part of something bigger than yourself. Miles was finally complete. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. Leave a like because it helps this story get recommended to more people. See you in the next story.